It's time to have your say, and welcome back to the Q&A Ask SCW. We'll be answering your questions in the wrestling community straight after this. Coming up on today's show, we've got questions on WWE, AEW, and much more. We're going to be talking about LA Knight, of course, debuting on SmackDown in the Dark segment this week. Potentially a new stable could be in the works. How I will return Bayley and Asuka to WWE TV. Going to be talking about Becky Lynch. Going to be talking about the importance of factions as well as managers in wrestling. And should Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti go heel? Now, we've already talked about this topic a little bit, but to be more in depth today, of course, Sammy Guevara, the brand new TNT champion, and of course maybe they already are on their way to that heel turn. So looking forward to discussing that and much more. But if you want to be involved on the next Q&A, then you could drop a question in the comments below, leave the hashtag AskSCW, or alternatively you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or should come on your screen right about now. So without further ado, let's get into our first question this week. And it comes from Martin Lorenzo Carrillo. Can LA Knight find success on the main roster if he becomes a manager, like how Sami Zayn did with Nakamura a few years ago? I really like this question you've presented before, and I like the way you've done it as well with Sami Zayn there, because that's probably the most modern reference we've got here. Sami Zayn was a mentor and a mouthpiece for Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro at one point just before the pandemic. Really helped two superstars get on TV and get perhaps more over under Sami's guidance. So for me, I quite like how you've presented that, because LA Knight could do the exact same thing here on WWE TV, because LA Knight, the most exciting thing about him is his promos. Let's not kid ourselves. In ring, he is good, but if you look to the NXT character, yes, he was the megastar, yes, he had lots of money, but what was there more to LA Knight? He was a heel, then he kind of just went babyface. Well, what they're going to do with him here, he's going to be a mouthpiece. He's got his own stable going forward, according to this segment, this dark segment on SmackDown, where it's going to be the Knight modeling management. He was looking around the crowd, said that no one was fitting for that group. Going to be a heel. He brought out Mace as well, who's going to be his first client. Of course, ditched all the Retribution stuff. I think the name will drop at some point. This obviously was a trial. I think it worked really well. There's a clip going around on social media. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend you go and find it and check it out. And yeah, like I say, I think that this can do wonders, because Mace could be the first of a few people that LA Knight could manage, could put forward. You look at someone like MVP, who was a mouthpiece as well. Was a mouthpiece for Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley at the time was a mid-carder, went all the way to become the champion. Now, I'm not saying Mace will become the champion, but perhaps someone that will be aligned with LA Knight could push him higher up the pecking order than what he would have been if he'd have been a solo star and continued the LA Knight NXT variation that we got. Also, if you look in history, you mentioned Sami Zayn there being a modern example. We had, Kurt Hennig, of course, Mr. Perfect with Ric Flair. We've had Shawn Michaels, who was in the corner of Diesel. Of course, Diesel was also in the corner of Shawn Michaels as a bodyguard. So this isn't something new, really. It's been something that's been done multiple times over the years to great success. It's a great way of actually showing off people's strengths rather than exposing weaknesses. So I'm quite in favour of this. But for me, I've got high hopes for it. I think that it's exciting to package this. And I do think perhaps you could say, like a year further down the line, there could be a way that LA Knight could break out and get in ring and become physical in WWE. Just the option would be whether they go the Robert Stone route like they've done in NXT with his character, where he pretty much would get beaten very easily. Or maybe LA Knight breaks out completely, has the promo, has the babyface, push going forward and can become a big deal in WWE. So for me, I'm quite excited to see what is going to happen with this. Obviously, it's still, it's still a trial at this point, so let's see what it could lead to. But if this is going to become something, I think it'll be one of the more underrated stables, factions, duos, whatever it's going to be of the year, because it's not something that I would have put together, but certainly looking at it and how it's been presented very early doors, I think that there is a lot of mileage in this gimmick and in this group. Next question coming from the Bama Slammer Wrestling Podcast. When Bayley returns, no doubt she'll get one of the biggest crowd reactions in recent memory. What do you want her character to be like? Should it be changed at all? Which show needs her more, Raw or SmackDown? And I completely agree. I actually think this could be like the Triple H of 2002 in Madison Square Garden kind of reaction. Maybe some people might think I'm going overboard with that, but Bayley, she was the MVP of the pandemic era. She was sort of on every show, getting over massively. It's such a shame that Bayley has been out since fans have returned over what's been, the best part of nearly a year now. But she's set and ready to return. It's where she's going to be placed in WWE. And I totally feel that a babyface run is going to be needed, because her reaction is going to be too over. People are going to be too happy to see her. For me, the way I would bring her back in, I would finish the program off with Bianca Belair, but I would do it as a twist. I haven't actually have perhaps Bayley come to the defense of Bianca Belair, who they were of course feuding beforehand, and where Bayley seemed to have no respect and was sort of laughing at the idea of Bianca Belair being champion a year ago, she can see where Bianca Belair has come over the last 12 months, and it become more about a respect kind of rivalry, and these two could go on and finish with a proper match, a proper program, but more of a face versus face, or tweener turning to face, rather than sort of the obnoxious heel we had with Bayley. The character of Bayley as well has been fascinating to watch over the years, because she was the super fan when she came to NXT, was the hugger as well for a long period of time, which got over with the young portion of the audience. Of course, she had the dramatic character change where she was all grown up when she went to heel, then became more obnoxious. Now she needs to be all grown up but take the obnoxious side away, almost become a more serious side of Bayley, almost to a point where perhaps she's willing to accept other people in a friendly way again, perhaps the right kind of people rather than the wrong ones, but not go back to the old bad habits and mistakes that she made when she was in the hugger gimmick. That's what I think she needs to be presented going forward. Now, mentioning already with the feud that I said to bring her back in with Bianca Belair, I think she's more suited for Monday Night Raw as well. Then she can go against the likes of Becky Lynch, she can go against Rhea Ripley, and of course those are two fresh programs I haven't seen, and I consider them almost dream programs to go in for Bayley for the rest of the year. And of course both of them, well, Becky is a heel, Rhea Ripley looks to be on the verge of perhaps a heel turn, perhaps, if you believe the rumours going around right now, so that would fit very nicely with Bayley being a babyface. But from what my understanding is, I'm going to give a shout out for my source here, Tom Colohue, has suggested that SmackDown is looking potentially to be the home of Bayley when she does return. And of course, the program aligned at the moment in the works potentially could be against Charlotte Flair, which for me is a little bit pessimistic, because if there's one feud I think I've seen overdone, would be Bayley versus Charlotte Flair. I don't think I need to see that again. But Bayley versus Ronda Rousey is something that's really, really exciting. And of course, we would get 3 of the 4 horsewomen on the same show. And look, just to give a bit of pro here, Bayley and Charlotte always do have great matches, and I suppose if we do get this new incarnation once again of more tweaks to a Bayley character, certainly it could make the feud kind of fresh going forward at least as well. So there are many positives with it. I do think Bayley's return is eagerly anticipated by a lot of people as well. So yeah, it's exciting to see how WWE will bring her back into the fold. But Bayley isn't the only one returning. Superson X with the next question now saying, when Asuka comes back, will she get the biggest pop and crowd reaction in recent history? What will her character be? Will it change? And what brand needs her the most? Is it Raw or is it SmackDown? Now, while I don't think it'll be the biggest pop in recent memory, I do think Asuka returning will be a very big deal. But also, it's how she returns that I think is going to make the most impact. Because for me personally, I would like to see Asuka return as a heel. I think that would be the most interesting thing going forward. Going towards more the sort of Kana gimmick that she had previously, or perhaps even when she was just in NXT, she could put a string of wins together and get cocky and arrogant again. No one's ready for Asuka. That sort of stuff, go back into that dynamic. Could be quite interesting. Or even Kabuki Warrior Asuka. I liked when she had the green mist, stuff like that, was willing to take a few cheap shots where she needed to. That Asuka was fun to see as well. Maybe a combination of all 3 thrown together. I do think personally, if I was going to be honest, I think SmackDown possibly could need her more at this moment. But again, I've always said this many times on this channel, I would have her on the opposite brand to Charlotte Flair. But I do like the idea of Ronda Rousey versus Asuka. But at the same time, if she wants to come back to Raw, you know, Bianca Belair is the champion right now. If she was to go full on heel for there, that would be a fresh match that you could do. Of course, there's like Liv Morgan as well that she could wrestle with, Rhea Ripley. And let's not forget another expected return who could definitely rival a crowd pop of both Asuka and Bayley. We're talking Alexa Bliss. Now, according to Dave Meltzer, she is currently positioned as the number 2 babyface on Monday Night Raw, which says a lot of what they think about the positioning of things, when Alexa Bliss has not really been on TV for what, the last 6 or 7 months or so, minus those, you know, backstage segments she had with the 2022 version of Dr. Shelby and that one match appearance in Elimination Chamber. I'm excited to see what they would do with Alexa Bliss on her return. Of course, recently getting married as well, so big congratulations to her. I can't wait to see when she's back on WWE TV. But Alexa Bliss versus Asuka could be a lot of fun to watch as well. So yeah, it's all comes down to the impact of what they do with Asuka. It's going to be interesting. If you say where she should go, perhaps she should go to Monday Night Raw, but at the same time, SmackDown seems to be lacking a couple of bodies right now, and I think Asuka going over there certainly could help that brand as well. I guess any brand having Asuka, having Bliss, having Bayley, all of them will be a lot stronger for when these 3 ladies return. Jamie Holmes of our next question now. Do you think we're getting a Sammy Guevara Tay Conti heel turn? Fans are turning against them, and even though Scorpio Sky and American Top Team are heels, it seems to be that Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti who are coming across as heels in the feud. Totally true, and that couldn't be said even more clearer than Battle of the Belts 2 last night. Sammy Guevara becoming a TNT champion once again. A transitional championship run for Scorpio Sky. Quite controversial to some are quite unhappy about this, but if you watch during the match, Scorpio Sky and all of them, even Dan Lambert, were seen as the baby faces in and amongst this, with amongst the crowd. People were not happy with Sammy Guevara or with Tay Conti, and if you notice towards the end of the match, Sammy Guevara hit a low blow before hitting his finishing move to pick up the victory. And of course, with the likes of even Page being busted open on the outside hard as well, you know, you felt sorry for American Top Team, which was really weird. The Men of the Year kind of come off looking a bit worse for wear and almost a bit sympathetic towards them. You know, we saw the kissing down the aisle as well. It is a bit like that it's being put in front of our faces, in front of our noses a bit too much. If you look through this entire feud, the championship posed picture with Sammy and Tay Conti, more than perhaps the eyes needed to see. The trashing of the car as well. Like you say, it's supposed to be done where it's heel moves done in the babyface way, but it is coming across in an obnoxious way, and fans have been turning against these two ever since they were announced as an item. Now, what goes on in people's personal lives, do not attack them. That is what they choose to do. Look, that's their relationship. That's up to them. But the way it is being presented on TV, it is done in a way where people think, I don't want to see it. And I'm pretty sure as well, didn't one of the commentators say on Battle of the Belts last night, get a room to them as well? You know, it is to a point where I think it is already perhaps in the works that this heel turn is coming, and perhaps it could lead to a double turn this. We'll have to wait and see. One thing is for sure, Sammy and Tay together with the chemistry, they've already got the catchphrase down as well with Be Mad. And like I said last week, they have the potential what AEW wanted Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford to be. Natural heel heat here for Sammy Guevara and for Tay Conti. They've got the facials, they've got the mannerisms, they've got the catchphrase, and I think now they've got the TNT Championship as well. People are not happy to see it. I think it's going to be a fast track to this heel turn, and it could actually be one of the most hottest acts in wrestling where people will be actually giving these people genuine heel heat. So it could be fun to watch and see how this is going to play out. I wouldn't be surprised as well, as I say, if Men in the Year kind of turn babyface. In that way, Dan Lambert would have to turn on Page and Sky. But judging off the mic work we saw as well, the exclusive last night with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, they don't need a mouthpiece. That's one thing for sure. I think we will get the mixed tag team match. I think that is next for this feud. And then perhaps after that, maybe we might see some cracks and breaks and some definitive turns from both sides going forward from it. But one thing is for sure, yes, Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti do need to turn heel, but that heel turn could already be playing out in front of our very eyes. Next question coming out from Eleanor Wrestling, a great YouTube channel by the way. What was your favourite match from Becky Lynch's most recent run as Raw Women's Champion? Such a fun question, this one. I'd even argue that Becky Lynch has been having some of the best matches of her career in the most recent run as Raw Women's Champion. Storytelling to the maximum has played into her matches, and they've made them so much fun to watch. The whole story with Bianca Belair, even just through, you know, Extreme Rules, the DQ finish she had there, the triple threat match with Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, which was a crown jewel. I thought was a fantastic match between those three ladies. You go through the storylines as well with Liv Morgan trying to become Raw Women's Champion. Also, you know, against her idol in Lita, and of course then you had the WrestleMania match with Bianca Belair. And for me, it's a really hard decision to narrow it down to one, but I'm gonna go with the WrestleMania match against Belair, because for me, that I thought was the match of the weekend, possibly even my favourite match of the year so far. It was a culmination of that 8-month-long feud, how it sort of played in the early stages of the match, similar to the SummerSlam match. Can the match get done in 26 seconds? The desperation of Lynch to just get out of the match, just defend it quickly, that the job should have been done and how she could just get to the back. The fact she couldn't put Bianca Belair away, and the fact is that, of course, yes, she dropped the championship, but Bianca Belair came out looking like a megastar at the end of that match. And like I say, it was probably the best match of the year for me so far watching. And for me, I also have a soft spot for the Liv Morgan feud as well. I hope they do revisit that late in the year, because Becky Lynch, not only does she put on great matches, she's also good at making future stars as well. And I think that that could be definitely her role going into the rest of 2022 when Bianca Belair is carrying the flag as Raw Women's Champion. But great question. For me, I think has to be the Belair match at WrestleMania 38. I thought it was an outstanding encounter. Now, usually I only take one question per asker, but Elijah, I know you don't get involved so often, so I'm going to make an exception here. He asks, are you a fan of Butch, Sheamus and Ridge Holland? How would I book this faction in my opinion? Am I happy that WWE and AEW are bringing back factions and managers again? And how would I book the Raw weddings this Monday night? Firstly, I'm really enjoying the Fight Club. I'm going to be honest here. Now, I know people don't like the name Butch, but let me tell you, Butch has maximised his minutes and his moments in WWE so far Butch is an absolute star in his role in this group. I wasn't so invested as much when it was just Sheamus and Ridge Holland. I thought it was a bit bland, but now Butch is in the mix. I think it's really entertaining and it's really fun. I'm enjoying this trio. I'm enjoying seeing what the work they do together, and I hope as well that they have a lot more storylines going forward. I hope for me Butch becomes like the single star of the two to become like Intercontinental Champion. Sheamus of course always going to be the leader of the group, the one that would go for the world titles. Potentially though, I could see him going for the tag titles with Ridge Holland. Ridge I see is more like the bodyguard role at this point. He's of course the most inexperienced, but has got the look and probably wants to be presented as the one that WWE will push in the future as the top star of the group. So that's probably the roles they've got at this point, but I'm really happy with how it's going down. The fact that, you know, Sheamus and Ridge can't even keep an eye on what's going on with Butch at this particular point, I think is very, very amusing. For me, it ticks a lot of the boxes what they're doing on SmackDown. Factions and managers are so important in wrestling. I'm so happy that they are being used a lot more in WWE and AEW in 2022. If you look at the role of factions of what they can do for right now, it's easy storytelling. If you've got a group going against a group, you can sort of have gang warfare. The big blow-off match is all of them going against one another or the leaders, but also you've got easy sort of fresh matches each and every week on TV. So you've got 2 groups of 4 going at it. You've got so many different combinations of matches you can throw together. It just makes things a lot more simple and easy to do with your television product. And if you look also, even when you've got a single star going against a group, it still makes easy storytelling. You look at CM Punk and MJF with their feud in AEW. CM Punk had to go through every member of the Pinnacle to get to MJF. It just makes a lot of sense. It's just easy storytelling. It's why I'm a big fan of factions. I'm glad that both companies seem to be using them a lot more in 2022. And managers are just as important as well. A manager can direct someone, can be a mouthpiece. You know, look at MVP, for example. He's been a mouthpiece for Bobby Lashley. He's now going to do it for Omos. Bobby Lashley was stuck in the mid-card, got himself to become a world champion, took, you know, the weaknesses of Bobby Lashley away. MVP added them into the strengths. Bobby Lashley all of a sudden became the full package, which is why MVP has now moved over to Omos, because Omos has got the look of a star, but the guy is not a good talker. Yes, he's still a bit green in the ring as well, so you never know, maybe we might see some tag team matches, handicap matches, stuff like that going forward with these guys. But again, Omos will benefit having someone like MVP at his side. So managers are a key role in wrestling. It's something that, you know, should be used all the time, because not everyone is a great talker. They might be great in ring, but if they've got a great mouthpiece, that can propel them to the next level. A great mouthpiece is good as well for factions as well. We can combine the two things together. Look, in the old days of the golden era of wrestling, the Heenan family, when you had the likes of Mr. Fuji and Slick managing multiple different wrestlers, it kept things fresh, it kept things exciting. It's a great role to have in your promotion. So yeah, factions and managers are critical to the product that you have. By taking them away, you're just making things a lot more difficult for yourself in storytelling. So for me, it's crucial that both companies are using them. And as for the double wedding on Monday Night Raw tomorrow, why have I got the feeling that R-Truth or somebody is going to be marrying the 24/7 championship? I expect it to be corny and very, very bad. But hey, wrestling and weddings, they usually are, aren't they? But that's what makes them so good. So yeah, I can expect someone is going to say I do to that 24/7 championship. What will happen with the belt after that? Will it retire? Will it become the permanent, you know, attachment to somebody? I have got no idea what they're going to do, but certainly you can see shenanigans going on. It's a WWE wedding. It's not going to go clean. It's not going to go normal. I would be surprised if either of them get to say the words I do. So yeah, let's look out and see how it's going to be. I think it could be cringeworthy TV, to say the very, very least. And last question this week, coming from the comment section on YouTube from Jackson Rick. How would I book a British Bulldog tournament if WWE did it for the UK? Who would be in it, and also who would be in the finals and win it? He thinks it'd be cool. As do I. Think that's a very creative idea. Now, we've got the Owen Hart Cup going on at this particular moment with the Owen Hart Foundation, but if you had a tournament going to the UK, the British Bulldog wanted to have some lineage and respect on the British Bulldog's career, yeah, it sounds like a fun and creative idea. I think personally for me, you could do it with a lot of NXT UK talent. That way it really does represent. You could have a real British winner, or you take wrestlers from, you know, the main roster of WWE, NXT or whatever, and have a full-on British tournament. Not have anyone from the American market involved, so you know that you're definitely going to get a British winner, and then that person could perhaps go forth and go for a championship. Certainly for me as well, I mean, this was a fantasy booking idea I had in my how I would book the first UK Premium Live event in 30 years video. I actually did a tournament finals of the best European wrestler, so maybe you could do an idea something like that as well to go with it, where it's European wrestlers and the winner could bring back the European Championship. I think that could be a fun idea of what you could do with it, because British Bulldog was the first European champion in WWE history. But who would be in it? British wrestlers. Who would win it? Well, obviously with the fantasy booking idea for the European Championship I had Gunther winning that. Certainly think that would be a good thing for him. But if you can have UK and British based wrestlers, then someone to gain a lot from this, I think, would be someone like a Ridge Holland. Like I said, I think WWE see him as the most green of that group with the Fight Club, but certainly I think he's the one that they want to be pushing long term as the main guy. And obviously it's quite key when you see that even that short WrestleMania match that they had this year, Ridge Holland was the one that picked up the victory. They are trying to get eyes on him and saying, look, this guy is picking up wins and he's going to have a very, very bright future. But that's all we've got time for this week here on AskSCW. Thank you everyone so much for your questions as always. If you've got a question, then feel free to drop it in the comments section. Leave the hashtag AskSCW and I'll give you a shout out on the next episode. And if you want to talk about any of the topics that have been discussed on this video as well, then feel free to drop a comment. I look forward to interacting with you and hearing your takes on anything that has been discussed here today. Please like the video as well, share with a friend, subscribe to the channel as well, and hit that beautiful bell, the notifications, set it to all, each and every time a video is released. And a big week is coming ahead now here on SCW. How I would book Cody Rhodes' return to WWE. That video is still in the works and it's still going to be dropping on this channel very, very soon, as well as that Impact Wrestling Rebellion predictions will also be dropping on the channel. But that's all from me. Thank you for watching. As always, check out these videos on the side of your screen right now. Have yourselves a great day. I'll see you very, very soon here on SCW. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.